In the United States, the healthy life expectancy is 66.1 years of age. Why I would retire at age 62, or if I could afford it, possibly a little younger. Stick around. I'm going to share my tip how to travel the world once you retire at 62 with an unbelievable cost-saving method. You're going to want to hear about that. Good morning, Philippines. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines. Would you check this out? It's just another day in paradise here. And here we are. We're at 500 feet of elevation. And this is the subdivision. And we're 3 kilometers south of uptown Cagayan. A good friend of mine said to me just the other day, he said, you know, the weather here, people say it's hot, it's humid, but 365 days a year, we wake up to perfect weather. Look at that across the river there. In the United States, the healthy life expectancy is 66.1 years of age. So if you wait until you're 65 to make your move, there's a strong percentage chance you will not be considered healthy when you make the move to the Philippines. That is why 62 is the ideal time. And it would be nice to come to the Philippines or wherever you choose to retire with a pension and an extremely low cost of living. And there are a lot of reasons why you have to focus on your health in retirement. You know, it's sad to say, but eventually we're all going to end up with the same result. We're just borrowing time here. So people tend to die one of 2 ways. They either enjoy a healthy life right up until about 6 months before a medical problem, a disability, comes along. They might break their hip and live another 6 months or 8 months. Or they have a disease like heart disease, diabetes, liver disease, cancer, and that disease can be managed, but it typically is a slow decline over a 10-year period. And you have to manage that disease, and during that time there is a lot of doctor visits, there's a lot of health management issues, there's a lot of things you can't do. There's waterfalls you won't go to and zip lining you won't engage in, and a lot of your money might have to go towards medical care. And so if you're lucky and you're one of those who gets to enjoy your life right up until about 6 months or 3 months before you have an accident or a medical problem pops up at 80 years old or 84, or maybe you're lucky you have a grandfather that lived to be 95. But those are not 100% for sure how your life will pan out. Half of us will have a disease we have to manage, and we'll go down an escalator a little bit every year, 10% every year, until our demise. So again, I don't want to depress everybody here. We're talking about the Philippines and all the wonderful things in the Philippines and beautiful Filipinas. But let's get real, gentlemen. I talk to a lot of guys who say, I'm coming in a couple of years. I'm coming when I turn 66. I'm waiting for full retirement. I have a divorce to get out of. I have a marriage to get out of. I have a situation to remove myself. I need to save more money. If you are in a position, or if you're young enough and you can plan, or if you're evaluating your choices, I strongly urge you to retire by age 62. Take an early Social Security pension. The average Social Security pension is $1,800 US today, and that's enough to live in the Philippines. Now, not carrying a lot of health insurance in America, if you keep your Medicare Part B for $180, or like me, if you're paying $230 for a supplemental on top of that, that's $400 right there. And then you come to the Philippines with no medical insurance. That's not a good look. So a lot of guys will walk away from their Part B. They'll take an HMO if they don't walk away from their Part B. So they're just 180 out of their Social Security when they turn 65. And you can self-insure from 62 to 65 until you go on Medicare. And then you could always plan on returning to the United States if you develop a severe and costly expense. Or you could self-insure here in the Philippines. I have a peso plan that cost me about $85 a month, and that was last year at age 67. So if you're 62 to 65, you should plan on paying about $75 a month for a plan that'll cover you for about 20,000 US dollars. Okay, let's talk about what is going on with healthy life index. We got a graph here that shows 66.1 years of age is as long as you can expect to live a healthy life. After 66.1, you might have some medical issues that are going to take away from your enjoyment of life and prevent you from living your happiest life. If you come at 62, in terms of an age gap relationship with a Filipina, that's a really good, I call it a sweet spot. Your ability to meet a 25-year-old Filipina is pretty good. She's not going to see you as very old compared to the other average expats. If you come at 68 or 70, you're starting to get a little bit more senior. 80 seems to be what I think is a little too old to meet anybody in their 30s. I think if you're 80, you should look for somebody 45 to 55 maybe. But if you're 62, you could start a new family. And if I had been 62 when I met Chrissy, I might have made a decision to start a new family. And but at 68, I just don't think it's the right thing to do. But at 62, there's some benefits. If you establish a child as a United States citizen, which obviously you would, you can go through the hoops that you need to go through to receive additional Social Security for each child you have. I've heard up to 150% for 3 children. I think it maxes out at 180%, and then there can be survivor benefits. The other thing you have to consider, a lot of men will bring their Filipina back to the United States for 5 years. She has to live there for 5 years to be eligible for survivor benefits. So upon your death, if she's never lived in the United States, at least for a Filipino wife, you get married in the Philippines, she can't receive any survivor benefits if she didn't live in the United States for 5 years. If she works for 10 years in the United States, she's eligible for her own Social Security. So a lot of guys will get married in the Philippines and do a spousal visa. It takes now around 18 months. When she arrives, she has a green card. She can go right to work. If you meet her at 62, you could live till 72 in the United States and then come to the Philippines. She would be eligible for her own Social Security. At 62, or maybe you start looking at 57, 58, you bring her to the United States until you're 62, 63. 5 years she lives with you in America, or maybe in a different Western country, and then she could be eligible for survivor benefits, which would typically be like half of your Social Security upon your death. Now, that's one reason why retiring early or moving forward with finding your Filipina while you're still in your 50s will come into play. The next thing is, we're here in a tropical paradise. Housing is ridiculously inexpensive. You see these vlogs all the time. The guys are spending $200 a month, $300 a month. I'm in this subdivision here, and I'm spending, it depends on the exchange rate, but it was $825 last month for that house right there. 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2 living rooms, air conditioning, hot water in every faucet, washer, dryer, laundry room. Look at the privacy I have here. It's spectacular. You want to start coming to the Philippines at 62. You want to get rid of your house, you want to get rid of your car, you want to get rid of all your expenses. Don't be like me and have a storage locker. And you want to minimize, you want to have no fixed expenses, okay? Now, when you come to the Philippines, maybe you're going to rent for a month initially, and then you'll settle in for 6 months. You'll meet a Filipina, you'll marry a Filipina, possibly. Now you're 62, 63, and when your lease is up, okay, when your lease is up, you don't really own a whole lot of anything. You've been renting a furnished apartment. You go travel for 3 months. You go travel for 6 months. And instead of paying $800 a month like I do for rent, that $800 at Nha Trang in Vietnam will go a long way towards a beautiful monthly rental. In Kuala Lumpur, $500 a month, you'll live in a high-rise with a negative edge pool on the roof. Spend a month in Kuala Lumpur. 2 weeks in Japan is going to be more expensive than a month in Kuala Lumpur. But if you're not paying rent, if you're not paying electricity, if you don't have a home base with a whole bunch of possessions, now you can have intervals where you come to the Philippines, be near your Filipina's family, and you pay rent and you pay electricity, and you have a few possessions that you can leave with friends when you leave the country. So you can have 3 months in the Philippines, 3 months in Asia, 3 months in Europe. You're married, you have a Filipina who can get some passport visas, And this is how you should do it while you're young and while you're healthy. Let your Social Security pay for your travel, pay for your Filipinas travels are going to be very inexpensive. Like, you know, you can fly to Japan and back for $200 round trip, fly to Kuala Lumpur, $200 round trip. It's not going to cost you another dime to have her with you. You know, she's not going to eat very much. You're going to go to the grocery store, entry fees at excursions and things. That's the only additional expense. And, you know, a few little bus fare. To sit in a taxi with you is free. To join you at breakfast, really, what's she going to eat? Another egg or two. Not going to cost a lot of money. So that's how I would do it. I traveled the world when I was 62, but I didn't escape having that fixed expenses eliminated. If you can eliminate your fixed expenses and travel using your regular budget that you would use for rent, you can get way, way ahead. Now, if you can only hope to be healthy, if you're lucky, you know, in Japan, you can expect to be healthy until 76. If you're a Japanese man, you might expect to live to be 90. I knew a woman, her mother and her 3 aunts all lived to be 96 years old. So it would be very reasonable for her to believe she would live to be 96. Maybe she wouldn't retire to the Philippines until she was 82. But you're not her, and you live in the West, and we have a diet and exercise routine that makes it very problematic. So if you are healthy, you can expect that 50% of the people are going to have health issues at 66.1. You could be in that lucky half. I have no medical issues. I don't take any medicines, and I'm with a 31-year-old woman. She keeps me active and invigorated, and I feel like I could hopefully, knock on wood, you know, get that next 10 years at least of living a vibrant, really healthy life. But I've got the travel behind me, other than what I have to show Chrissy around the world. I have it behind me, and I'm ready to enjoy this Philippines experience. So when you think of your retirement age, you can't take the money with you, gentlemen. You just can't take the money with you. And if you're one of the 50 percentile who ends up having a debilitating health issue, which takes a lot of enjoyment away from your life, you don't want to regret that you've got an extra $700 in your pocket every month, but you can't really put it to good use. So my recommendation is based on the average healthy life index of 66.1. You should retire at 62. You should be fully out of your house, out of your fixed expenses, or maybe you want to rent your house out for an income, but you shouldn't have a burden. You should be able to travel the world without a monthly burden. You should be able to see amazing things like this without having to pay for rent back home or have a fixed address. You can rent 6 months, hit the road for 6 months, and live an amazing life with a beautiful Filipina at your side in an age gap relationship. So I encourage everyone, talk to your financial advisor, evaluate your health prospects, take a look at your family, your genes, their longevity, whether they lived with good health. Think about what you can do to get here early or to your dream retirement destination. Once you reach full retirement age, if you've got a way to be a digital nomad and earn extra income, then Social Security is not going to claw back some of your Social Security, and you might have a way in a modern age with the internet to, you know, for a little bit of money you can teach English here in the Philippines, $10 an hour. But you know, some people do it. Other people can do consulting and do other methods of digital nomad income generation. So that's another option to consider in this day and age, where you could find a way to do some virtual consulting or something like that. But I think in terms of the age of the Filipina that you can meet, 62 is a pretty good age. Whether you want to start a family or not, 62 is a really good age. Will Social Security kick in for each kid you might have? That'll really make a difference in what kind of retirement income you have. It doesn't cost much here in the Philippines to raise a child. Private school, which is just over the hill behind me, 3 kilometers away, only costs 58,000 pesos per year, and that's 3 hours a day. I asked the bursar, what does it cost when they go full-time next year? She said 60,000. And if you're interested in online personalized consultations, you can write flymetothephilippines@gmail.com. From Fly Me to the Philippines, live your best life, retire early, and make your best decision. Till next time, Chrissy will be back.